If you feel the burn like Brian Burns, you should get yourself tested, because you might have gonorrhea. Grossi Posse Packer Nation, welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and today, as we continue to look at draft prospects, we look at a guy who's feeling the burn. Now, I don't know if he voted for Bernie Sanders, but I am talking about the one and only Brian Burns, and I've seen him go on a bunch of different mock drafts to us at number 12, and I'm here to tell you today why I don't think that's a good idea. But before we get to that, you got, what's today? When's this coming out? Like 4 days left to check out bonfire.com/Packcast to pick yourself up some Packcast merch, whether it be a jersey tee, a t-shirt, a hoodie, a long sleeve shirt, or maybe a women's size cut. Who knows? Whatever you're into, I'm down with it. So check out bonfire.com/Packcast, and thank you to all those who have already purchased it. And then we have, of course, a big shout out and thank you to the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. Check all that out for some cool rewards. Now, let's jump into Brian Burns, who, God, like, I'm not saying he's bad, because he's not. He's not a bad player. However, the fact that I've seen him go in mocks at number 12 for the Packers greatly concerns me, because I don't think he's worth it there. At number 30, I think it's a whole different ballgame, and I'd be okay with taking him at the number 30. Anywhere after 30, I'd be okay with taking him. But for number 12, I'm just not feeling it. But let me explain. So in 2016, he played 8 games, had 14 solo tackles, 9.5 were tackles for loss, which is great, 8.5 sacks, which is phenomenal in 8 games. It's averaging at least a sack a game, and a forced fumble. In 2017, he played 13 games, 26 solo tackles, 13.5 for a loss, only had 4.5 sacks, so reduced them by 4, and had 3 forced fumbles. And then in 2018, 12 games, 31 solo tackles, 15.5 tackles for a loss, and 10 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. So, just taking a look at this, his solo tackles improved every single year, his tackles for a loss improved every single year, and last year was his best year to date as it came to sacks. So, that's a great thing. The guy is a QB hunter, like in the wilderness, hunting for QBs. Or on the field, wherever you do your people hunting. I'm not one to judge. And he's really, really good at that, right? He's able to be disruptive in the passing game, pressuring the quarterback constantly, hell, and even forcing turnovers, which is exactly what you want. He could play either defensive end or the outside linebacker position, but he's really not so great in the run game. And this is where my concerns come in. So he has phenomenal pursuit, right? He could chase after anyone, tackle him down, yay, everybody's super duper happy. But he needs to, one, play on the outside so he doesn't get jammed up. And in addition, as we were talking about Ed Oliver yesterday, the weight thing is a little bit problematic, coming in at only 249 pounds. So the guy is going to have to gain weight, or he could play outside linebacker, play on that outside, and then just rush in towards the quarterback. Now, here's why I can't justify picking him at number 12. Is because even though he's really, really good as an edge rusher and getting to the quarterback, I can't justify spending that pick on a one-sided player. And that's not saying he can't get better at run defense. I'm not saying that at all. But the fact that we just addressed that position with both Smiths, right, and people that are able to get at the quarterback, if I'm using a top 15 draft pick, I want a guy who could do it all, which is why I wanted TJ Hawkinson, a guy who can run and also is a passing threat. That's why I wanted Ed Oliver, a guy who can stop the run and also get at the quarterback. This guy, he could be great, and he could constantly get at the quarterback, and that's wonderful. But considering how the NFL is going and we want these hybrid players, right? Ones that can move around and play any position. Yeah, I feel like I can't justify it at number 12. If he's there at 30, I'm totally good for it. And the Packers definitely have a need for it, right? Clay Matthews is bon voyage. He's going off to L.A., right? And you can never have enough outside linebackers, so even though we got the Smiths, it is still a position of need. We could use some depth there. His combine was good at a 4.53 40-yard dash. His three-cone drill, which arguably is more important as an offensive linebacker, is a 7.01. And these are good numbers. These aren't bad in any stretch of the imagination. You know, he's only 21 years old, but for some reason, out of all the guys I've looked at thus far, of the Packers potentially picking up at number 12, he's the one who gives me the most hesitation. And I could be dead wrong about this, and I'm totally fine admitting that. But the fact that he really is not great in the run game and he's really just a QB hunter and that's it, that gives me pause. Because, again, with his low weight, you know, you're going against offensive linemen that are a lot bigger than you. I don't know if he's going to have the same success in the NFL as he did in college. But all that being said, if the Packers wind up picking up a 12, I think he's definitely going to be a rotational. Wherever they wind up picking him up, he's definitely going to be a rotational player, right? A guy who's not going to be a 3-down player. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, he could be a great guy to bring in on 3rd down and be like, hey, you see the quarterback? Go eat him, right? And that could be wonderful, considering that now we actually have, you know, some players that could actually get at the quarterback. But if you're telling me that you want to spend your number 12 draft pick on a rotational player, I can't get behind that. I can't agree with it. But maybe I'm just going crazy. There's a good potential that that's happening. So I'm very, very curious to see what you think about this guy down below. Again, I could see him at number 30. Hell, if he slips into the 2nd round, go for it. But considering that he is not a complete package player, I just can't justify a top 15 pick on him. And that's just my personal opinion. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You could always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com, TOMGROSSI Comedy, or Tom Grossi Comedy on all the social medias, including Patreon. Check out bonfire.com/Patcast for merch. And check out Patcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, and of course here on YouTube. But thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow with another draft prospect. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.